for committees.
And you can have it all with your membership in the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce.
This is Strictly Business, presented by the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. Sponsored in part by the law offices of Young Wooldridge, San Joaquin Community Hospital.
And welcome back to Strictly Business. I'm Nathan Ollie, Manager of Government Affairs for the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. And joining me today is Sue Watson of Business Initiatives. And she's the owner of that company, and we're going to take an in-depth look at time management. Sue's going to explain why time management is important and how making a few quick changes can make your time more productive. Good morning, Sue.
Morning. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So we all have the same amount of time.
Everybody's
got 24 hours in a day, and
we do.
And we don't all manage that time the same way.
No.
And sometimes we run into some hiccups. So
have you noticed, Nate, that some people just manage to get so much done in a day, and they're so productive and so successful, and other people just kind of sloth around a little bit?
You kind of wonder how they sleep.
I know. Yeah.
So how does one, when you're developing some kind of time management plan, how should you value it? What kind of value do you put on it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that we need to value every minute that we've got, because every minute that we spend is a minute that we can't spend anymore. Mm-hmm. So once that minute is gone or that hour is gone, then it's gone for good. You can't get it back. So
Right.
I think that we can value our time by being really careful about what we put in our days and who we spend our time with as well. And I think being on time is pretty important, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I have a little daughter at home now, so I'm not quite as good at being on time for places as I used to. My schedule is no longer my own. But so how do you start with that? What's the benefit of taking that time to sort of manage and develop a plan for time management?
Good question. Planning. So I think one of the most fundamental things about time management is getting that we're really not managing time, we're managing self.
Okay.
So there only is self to manage ever, really.
Okay.
You know, time is just time. Time is going by whether we like it or not, and whether we're wasting it or whether we're doing good things with it. Time's going by. So what we really have to do is manage ourselves. So I think, there's this lovely saying about going with the flow. But if we just allow ourselves to go with the flow, then we're not conscious about where we're using time, and we're probably not going in the direction that we prefer to be going in.
So this is a situation where flexibility is not always a good thing.
It's not always a good thing, no. So for me, what's most important about time managing is knowing what you want to put in your time, and knowing what's important to you, knowing what you do value, and knowing what you want to get done as well. So you asked me about planning, so that's where the planning comes in. I think it's good to plan. It's New Year still. Is it still New Year, Nate?
I think so.
We're nearly through January already,
January,
huh?
It counts, right?
Yeah, so in the new year, most people set some goals for the year.
Uh-huh.
Successful people are always setting goals and creating objectives to get done and get accomplished. And hopefully they're setting some timeline around that too.
Right.
And if you're not, then the chances are, do you have some New Year's resolutions yourself?
None that I really want to go into on the air. Actually, one that kind of comes in mind for me, and I'm sure a lot of people, is a work-life balance.
Okay.
And that probably ties into what we're talking about, because a lot of times people have issues with leaving work at work and
Right.
trying to keep it away from family and those kinds of commitments. So
Yeah, balance is a tough one, and I think that, again, it's something that we have to be conscious about. So the more conscious we can get about time, the better that we're going to make plan with it. So once you've got your vision lined out and you know what's important to you, then what I do is every Monday morning, and I've done this before I came down here this morning, every Monday morning I review the goals that I've set, and I determine what actions I'm going to be in this week toward those goals.
Oh, okay.
And I send an email out to 2 or 3 of my friends, and we all do this, and I say, all right, this is what I completed last week, and this is my intention this week. So I've created some accountability.
Oh.
Now, that's not just about the day-to-day stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's about over and above of the day-to-day stuff, because otherwise the day just takes over.
It just gets away from you.
Yeah. So by doing that planning every week, I'm really aware of what I've got to do that week. And I've actually got my sheet here. There's 16 items on my sheet this week that will drive me toward my goal, to the accomplishment of my goal. So because I've got such a lot to do over and above of my day-to-day stuff, then I'm really conscious about this list and making sure that I'm on top of that too.
So you've got to decide what you're going to prioritize and what you're going to give up, things like that.
You've got to prioritize that, and you're exactly right. You've got to prioritize what you're going to give up to, or at least be aware of what you're going to give up as well. Do you have any time wasters, Nate? Don't say no.
Considering that my phone isn't in studio with me right now, it's out in the hallway. Then my time waster is not with me at the moment. My phone is a notorious time waster.
Yeah, it is. The phones tend to take over. In fact, technology can take over our time as well. But most people have some time wasters, and if we can identify those and give them up, even if it's for a period of time. So, for example, I was writing a book. I'm writing a second book right now, but when I was working hard to get my first book published, I had to give some stuff up in order to get that done. So, and I actually had to give some dollars up as well. Some time for generating revenue was given up for the sake of that bigger goal at that point. Okay. So we could give up time wasters. Maybe the crossword puzzle takes up too much of your time. Maybe you spend a lot of time watching television.
It doesn't. The crossword puzzle doesn't take me that long. It's
a steal.
It doesn't take that long.
Got it. Are you a television watcher?
Only during baseball season. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So sometimes you have to give up your favorite television show for the sake of your goal. And again, you're managing yourself is a lot easier if you're after something that's important to you.
Okay.
So you got to know what that is.
Now, the somewhat of a touchy one. We've talked about things that can steal your time. Can people steal your time?
What do you think's the answer to that one?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would think that people can steal your time.
Yeah, and in good ways and in bad ways, Nate. So. It can be a little contentious, that subject, can't it? But there's those people that steal your time in a good way. In other words, you want to spend time with them. You don't really have the time, but there's some value in spending time with them. Friends, relationships, clients, people that you're close to, your kids, obviously. But there's probably some people that you could say no to as well.
Right.
And for me, I try and steer clear of people that steal my energy. They're not just stealing my time, they're stealing my energy. You know, those downer type people that don't have very much positive to say. Yeah, I find I'm a little drained by them, so I try and steer clear of them consciously as well.
So, in just a couple minutes that we have left in this segment, what now that you've identified them, you've these are the things or these are the people that are wasting my time or draining my time. How do you what's next? How do you move on from that?
Well, I think you can look as well at what's taking a lot of time, and you can learn to delegate effectively. And almost all of us have somebody to delegate to. So even if we're not the boss, typically the boss will delegate or the supervisor will delegate, but we can all delegate. We can delegate at home. You said you'd got a young child?
I do.
How old?
19 months.
Oh, 19 months. So a girl or a boy?
A little girl.
So she's not cleaning her own room yet?
No.
But she's probably not making too much of a mess yet?
Well, yeah, she's pretty good at that.
Yeah. You can train your kids to clean up a little bit after themselves, and that saves some time. In our homes, we can delegate or outsource, rather. We can outsource, for example, the gardening, and that can give us a couple of hours a week back. And for me, if I find I have a goal that I'm dragging with a little bit, it's handy for me to see who I can outsource to that can help me move forward a little bit quicker with my goal.
Outstanding.
Or with the attainment of my goal.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back, and we'll talk a little bit more about time management techniques with Sue from Business Initiatives. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.